Hello, Tech Pros, episode 112.
Be an amazing listener with your whole self. So I'm talking about with your children, your wife, your partner, your employees, anybody that's around you. Be an amazing listener.
Welcome to the podcast where I chat with professionals who are getting the job done using technology 7 days a week. Each week, we start with Motivation Monday. Tuesday is about productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and Sunday, being unplugged. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Bruce Langford. Happy Sunday, Bruce.
Hey, happy Sunday to you, Chad.
Man, are you unplugged and unwound and hopefully relaxing before we start back to work tomorrow on Monday?
Yeah, I am relaxing, and I love to relax with my family. It's not always easy, but I just make a point of getting unplugged and getting relaxed on Sunday.
Man, me too. It is my day to, other than publishing this episode, this is the only work that I will be doing is throwing this link out to this episode. Other than that, I'm spending time with my daughter. I've got a 6-year-old daughter. This is the end of the summer. We're wrapping things up before we start school back. And then my wife and just our 3 little family. It's the best time ever. The best day of the week is just to hang out and spend time with my kid and my wife.
Yeah, I love it. My son's 14 and he's a little older, but it's the same kind of thing. I really value spending time with him and with my wife, of course. And, you know, it's so easy to kind of allow your life to go separate ways, whereas he starts doing his thing, we start doing our thing. And so especially on Sunday, I make a point of making sure that we're connected and spending time together and doing stuff. And I don't mean forcing it. I mean, I really work hard to listen to my son and to know what he would like to do. So the stuff we're doing is, you know, things that we all want to do. We all truly want to do them. Man, that's key.
Yeah, that is key. And I can't wait to ask you some very honest questions and hope to get some honest feedback about that. Because, you know, as an entrepreneur, sometimes I struggle in this area. Sometimes I struggle with unplugging and putting the phone down and quit checking my, Libsyn stats and quit replying on Twitter and just being there connected with my family. But first, let's do a little introduction. So, audience, Bruce Langford has been a presenter and writer in the field of bullying prevention for over a decade, and that has led him to the field of mindfulness. He is now a mindfulness coach and podcast host of the Mindfulness Mode podcast. Bruce is adamant that the world would be a better place as more people begin to embrace the practice of mindfulness. And Bruce, I know we talked off air that you're a technology geek as well, right? You're right with us there. You've done a lot of SEO work. You've done a lot of technology things. So tell us a little bit about some of the technical work that you've done before getting into podcasting and mindfulness coaching.
Well, as a musician, I've always done a lot of recording, and I was a music teacher before a long time ago, and I would always be recording them and just doing the recording and editing and all of that kind of thing. It was a great way to connect with the students because they love hearing themselves. They love the technology behind it. I had a tech club when I was teaching in a school, and I loved getting the kids together and teaching them tech. And a lot of times they would teach me things. Of course, that's how it works when you get together with a group of people, even if they're kids. And of course, kids just pick this stuff up so fast and they understand it so easily. So I've been working in the field of tech for a very long time. And then when I was doing the bullying prevention, as things changed, I thought, well, I really need to blog, and I started doing that, and that really worked for me and really helped me connect with so many more people. So that's a little bit about all the tech stuff I've been doing.
Yeah, man, I have actually tried blogging, probably 7 or 8 different times over 4 or 5 different topics in the course of the last 15 years. And for whatever reason, it just never connected with me. Like I could never get into, turn it into a habit. Like I've turned Hello Tech Pros into this habit where every day, I'm recording episodes and I have this program, or I couldn't even do once a week or once a month on the blogs. I was struggling constantly with, I would do great for a couple of weeks and I have this high energy, and then I would kind of run out of things to say and just fell apart. So, man, for you to be able to successfully blog, I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you, and I wish I knew how to do it.
Well, let me tell you how it worked for me. That was that I was presenting 4 days a week, some weeks 5 days a week. And so we would often have 1 or 2 hour drive at the beginning and at the end. And so what I did was I hired a driver. And so I hired this full-time person to help me not only drive, but then when we would get to wherever we were going, she or he, they would set up equipment and just do whatever I didn't need to do. So that all worked. But I just set it up so that as soon as I got in the vehicle after the speaking engagement, I would just do my blog. That was my time to do my blog. And so I just did. Some days I didn't know what really to write about, but I would do it and get it out there. And I just made up my mind to blog twice a week. And so some days I would be working on a blog that would be going out the next day or something like that. But I kept blogging, and it was just like magic, Chad. Like, people told me, but then when I experienced it myself, I was like, wow. Because after a couple of months, people started reaching out to me. And I really wasn't even thinking that people were reading it. I was just like sticking with it almost blindly. I was like, okay, I'm sticking to this thing. I'm just going to write. And if I don't get any response, I won't worry about it. But what did happen was that a whole lot of people, some people from the press reached out to me, from TV stations, other people who wanted to have me come as a speaker, and various people just started reaching out to me. And, sometimes they would say, well, I read your blog, and sometimes they didn't mention that, but I knew that's how they were finding me. So they just connected, and I ended up getting a lot of publicity from it. I ended up doing a book as a result of this with Brian Tracy, where we collaborated. I ended up being invited to the U.S. Virgin Islands to teach the kids there, and that was because of my blog. And it just really changed my world just because I was blogging.
Man, that is so awesome. And you know what, Bruce, we're going to have to bring you back on maybe a productivity episode to talk about, first of all, that the habits or the things that you did to allow you to turn it into a habit where it's just a ritual. You're just like, hey, I have this drive, I have this commute, I'm spending this time anyway doing nothing, so I might as well be productive at it, right? And so you're just doing it every day. Even when you were struggling with what to say or what to type, you still cranked it out and developed this material that then grew into an audience, and that audience allowed you to get more fired up about it. Just the same thing I'm doing here with the podcast, right? This podcast is still very, very new. I started working on it I had the idea in February of 2016, started really working on it in March, launched in April. Now here we are recording this episode in July. And this will be released in July as well. But now this is episode 112 that we're working on here today. And, it's the first, the first 30 or 60 or so was just very much just do it and get it out there. And now I've got folks like yourself that are like, hey, I can relate to some of the stuff you're talking about here on the show, talking about being unplugged and mindfulness. I think we can relate. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's awesome. Let's jam on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to get a chance to talk with you. And routine for me is everything. Habit is everything. And when I was doing all this work I'm describing, I thought, well, I've got to get found online. I've got to understand more about SEO. So I just learned it. I went to events, I went to conferences, I went to training sessions, I signed up for all kinds of training things. And then I set up a business where I was helping others. So I did a lot of websites and a lot of SEO for other people, but also, it just originated because I wanted to be found myself and understand the ins and outs of this. But, it's Sunday, so this is the unplugged day for me. And I'm just really glad to be kicking back and just chatting with you. But I want to tell you that the habit that on Sunday I love is because Well, I like to go to church. And for years, I was a church music director. I mentioned I was a musician. So I loved the routine of being able to do that every week. And then I loved playing the music and all that part of it. But I'm not doing that at this point in my life. But we looked around for a church. And because my son is a teenager, we wanted one that would really resonate with him. And so we go to a church that has really cool music. It has drama, which he loves, but all of us do. And so this is part of why I love Sunday, because it's that routine, getting out there, not having to tweet anything out, not having to put up any Facebook posts, just go there and relax and enjoy it. And I know when it's Sunday, that's what we're going to do. And it's just something that I just enjoy. So that's part of my Sunday routine and what I like. But so much of it is because it's not about certainly telling my son, hey, we're doing this. It's about, hey, do you want to go? And he's like, oh, yeah, I do. And it's because he likes it. It's because it's the kind of program that reaches out to teens. So I think that that's the trick with kids, is that you have to, first of all, listen more than you can even imagine, listen to what they love and to what they want and communicate with them. And then if you're willing to set up things in your life that they enjoy and that you enjoy too, then that can be a way to connect with your family. And it may or may not have anything to do with technology, which it really doesn't with that part of it. But, and it's kind of funny, when we talked about this had to do with food. And he said to me, he says, well, Dad, if we're going to be going to church every Sunday, like to a different church, because before I was a music director, like I said, he said, they've got to have food. And I said, what do you, like, okay,
priorities.
So he's a teenager. And I said, food? Like, what do you mean? Well, I don't want to go to a church if they don't have food, because some churches, they serve food after, right? And that kind of thing. And some of the churches that we checked out, they really did not have food. And I thought,
Scratch it
that
off
would
the
not
list.
be a priority for me, but he's a teenager, and that's the thing. So we found a church, and now this church, they have it's like a little coffee, like a cafe. And so after church, if you want a coffee, you go buy a coffee. If you want snacks, they have snacks. Well, he has his brownie and chocolate milk after every service. And I buy him his $3 brownie and his, $1 chocolate milk. And I think, it's not the most healthy thing every day or every Sunday to have a brownie, but who cares? It's part of what he enjoys. It's part of his connection. And I personally think that's what we need to do with our kids, be willing to listen to them and to embrace the kind of thing that's important to them at that given time. 5 years ago, he may not have cared, and 10 years from now, he may not care about the food at church. But I just think because I was willing to listen to that, that's why he wants to go to church today with us. And that's part of what I do on Sunday that really is important to me,
Bruce, that's so awesome, because we were just talking about productivity at work and how to be productive and how to meet our goals by just doing things even when, you're not feeling it or whatever, and how we transition that through your story. Oh man, this is so awesome, because to me, it's about those routines, and turning those routines into habits can be either positive or negative, right? So, maybe brownies every Sunday is not the most positive thing, but spending time with your family, spending time with your son, developing that relationship with your son, and wanting that relationship to grow over the course of as he's a kid and turning into a teenager, as he turns into a young adult and a man on his own. If that is your goal, is to have a good quality relationship with your son when he's an adult, that means putting in the time now. And that means, maybe buying him a brownie, buying him some milk every Sunday, but it's spending that time. It's doing those little things, but turning them into a routine where you're doing them every week, where he can count on it. And he's going to say, you know what? Maybe my dad and I had some ups and downs, but every Sunday we went to church and he bought me a brownie, and it's something we can laugh about, now that we're older.
It's true. And your listeners, Chad, may be interested in this too. I work with teenagers quite a bit because I have a studio, and I've had I just went to the local high school, and I went there back in September and talked to a teacher and said, hey, if you have any students here who love tech, I have a studio nearby, and maybe we could connect. And they just left a note for the person that teaches tech courses. And a few days later, I got a phone call and she said, hey, I would love to pass your name on to a student that I've got. She did. I hired him. He worked for me for months. He was just great. And he edited my episodes and did lots more stuff too. Like he was a genius on Photoshop. And so that was great. And then they had a program at the high school. We're in Canada here. It's called the co-op program. And so the student would go to school for half of the time, and the other half of the time they're out with a potential employer. They're out with a business, and they are getting hands-on experience working. Now, as a business owner, I don't have to pay that person, but I have to treat him like an employee. And then I answer back to the school and let them know how it's going and so on. So my co-op student started in February, and he's been with me until June. So he edited 40 or 50 of my episodes, and
Nice.
that was great. Well, then the school year ended, and so guess what? My son Ben is now my editor. So for the summer, he comes to my studio with me, but we sat down first, and I said, no matter what, I want this to be a positive relationship. I mean, yes, it's father and son, but it's also employer-employee kind of. And I want to talk with you about how this is going to play out, because I don't want this to be something that drives a wedge between us. So we basically had this meeting, and he said, well, Dad, I don't want to do it like every day. And I'm like, okay, I get that. And he says, and like sometimes I want to have a break and maybe just watch some YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, yeah, that makes sense. And so we worked out all these details. And so what we worked out is he comes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with me to my studio. We aim for 7 a.m. because I like to get going early. And then he works with me. He edits my episodes and does other things too. And then after, we've got something else that I think is really cool. And that is that I believe in being healthy, working out, having an active lifestyle, but I don't always get to the gym the way I want. And he said to me a few months ago, Dad, I think I want to go to the gym. So Ben is my accountability partner and I'm his. So at 3:30, we go to the gym and we work out together, and we just, we're each other's accountability partner, and we ended up with a swim, which he likes to do. So far it's been working out just great. And every morning, though, this is what I do. It may sound kind of corny, but sometimes when I'm doing tech, I start getting like really intense, and I'm like, I want things done a certain way, and I want things done quickly, and you know what it's like, right, Chad?
Yes. Yeah, I got a big smile on my face because I'm the same way.
And so I stand up and I say, hey, Ben, hey, come here. And I give him a big hug because I don't know. That's just what I want to do, because I want to have that, hey, for a second, this is Dad. This is father and son. And I just say a few words about, like, hopefully this is going to be a great day, and I want this to be a day where not only I'm relaxed and feeling good and feeling productive, but you are too, and that it be an opportunity for us to connect and feel good about being with each other. And so it's kind of like an affirmation. It's kind of like a prayer. But you know what it is? It's just me being vocal about what I want and letting him know that this is what I want. And so then we get at it, and he does the editing, and I do the stuff that I'm doing, social media or whatever it is, or I'm recording a podcast. And it's just a way to kind of start off, and every day we're reminding each other where we stand with this. So, it's Sunday today, but I'm really glad that I've got this positive thing going with my son where we're doing a tech thing, but I'm not allowing myself to get stressed out like I might normally do,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you want to develop positive relationships, regardless of if the individual is a stranger coming in to be your employee or if it's a family member coming in to be your employee, right? You want it to be a positive relationship, but especially when it's a family member, especially when it's your son, man, that's a tricky dynamic. And I've seen a lot of people get it wrong. And I did a short-term gig for my stepdad back when I was a teenager, and it was it was not a fun experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's have Father Sunday be something completely different outside of work. We used to go hiking and hunting and stuff like that, and those were good times. And when I had to help him in the office, it was horrible. It was horrible because it turned into a boss-employee relationship, which was no fun at all. So I love the idea that you have about, first of all, using your kids as your accountability partner and vice versa, so hold each other accountable, but first be vocal about your goals. Be vocal that, hey, I want this to be positive for the both of us. I want this to be a good experience. I don't want to be that jerk dad that just bosses you around and tells you what to do. I want you to have fun. So I'm going to say that to your face. I'm going to say it out loud to the universe. And I want you to hold me accountable to that. And let's get the work done, but let's also have a great time while we're doing it.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's really important to do. And so far it's working out just great. It really is.
That's awesome. Bruce, in just a moment, I want to ask you about this idea of mindfulness coaching. Now, I think you've been actually doing it to me throughout this conversation as we're talking about the mindfulness that you go into the relationship with your son and the things that you do to engage with him. So I think we've kind of hinted about it, but let's get real specific about that and also the bullying prevention in just a moment. But first, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by Minio Cloud Storage. Minio is a cloud object storage server for developers and DevOps written in Go. The Go programming language is the emerging language of choice for modern cloud infrastructure projects, and it allows Minio to be highly concurrent and lightweight. Minio is Amazon S3 compatible, built with microstorage architecture in mind, but at its heart, Minio is simple, scalable, and supported by a passionate developer and user community. In episode 89 of Hello Tech Pros, I talked with A.B. Periasamy, one of the founders of Minio, about the importance of community support and recruiting software developers who are as passionate about their product's code as artists are of their art. Check out that episode at hellotechpros.com/89 and check out Minio Cloud Storage at minio.io. That's minio.io. Okay, we're back with Bruce Langford. Bruce is a presenter and writer in the field of bullying prevention and a mindfulness coach. We've been talking to Bruce about family matters, about spending time with his son, both at church in their weekly, Sunday quest to find the perfect church that has the perfect brownies and milk, as well as spending time together working on the podcast and working on business stuff together, and how it's so important to go into that relationship with just being vocal about the goals and holding each other accountable to what we promised each other. That's all great stuff, Bruce. So I want to get specifically into your work as a mindfulness coach and a bullying expert, or a bullying prevention expert. So tell us about that. What is a mindfulness coach? What does that mean?
Well, for me, a mindfulness coach is someone who helps people who feel overwhelmed feel a sense of unhappiness, a sense of panic sometimes in their life. I help you to become the calm person, the relaxed person, the person who is productive without the stress, without the sense of overwhelm. That's what I do. I help clients to achieve that goal so that their life is ultimately way happy compared to how it used to be.
Yeah, I love that, because in my opinion, we don't have enough calmness in the world. It's all go, go, go all the time.
Yeah.
Whether you're in person or whether you're on social media or just watching the news, there's too much going on. And I am just by default a very calm individual.
Mm-hmm.
If you took a look at kind of the average person's emotional scale, emotional range as they go throughout the day, there's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs, and those amplitudes can be very great. People have told me that I'm very boring in the past, and I take that. I try to take that as a compliment, because to me that means I'm very calm, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
I don't get overly excited, right? When new things come out that are very awesome, like the new Star Wars movie that's coming out later this year, I'm like, yeah, that'll be awesome. I can't wait to see it. But I'm not hyped up about it. I'm not telling everybody, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing, because I don't know if it's going to be amazing or not. It may suck like the prequel did, or it may be great. I don't know, but I'm just going to wait until it happens.
Well,
And
the thing, Chad, is
yeah,
highs equal lows. And I'm sure
yeah.
you know that. If somebody is like super high with stuff, in my experience, they can become super low at times too. And boy, that's brutal. So I think the way you are is something that a lot of us could kind of move toward and really benefit from, because you're on an even keel, right? That's how you're describing it.
Yeah, it's sometimes I need a little bit more action and adventure people around me to kind of
Yeah.
get me fired up and feel the blood running.
Yeah.
But they also need me around, and they need you around to kind of balance them out and be like, you know what, dude? Take a breath. Like, you're way too stressed. You're way too down about this moment. It's just a moment. So tell us about some of the things that you help people do to come down off of those down periods, or come up from those down periods.
Yeah, we definitely need each other. Well, one of them is just taking some time to be quiet, to silence your brain. And we all have different words for that, different descriptions. And sometimes those words are the wall that blocks us from something that could just change our life. Like one of those words might be, I don't know, let's say jogging. Let's say, like, because I've had guests on my show who, for them, jogging clears their mind, gives them a chance to kind of process things in a different way. They calm their mind, and yet they're just focused on jogging.
Mm-hmm.
For some, it's meditation. They take time every morning to meditate, and it doesn't mean that their thoughts are stopping. It doesn't mean that their mind isn't working, but it is a break for their mind. And it's a habit, like we've talked about earlier, which helps them to just remove themselves from the overwhelm, so that for the rest of the day, their mind is kind of cleared and they can process things better and more effectively. So those of us who work in the field of tech, I just feel we really need that, because we can feel overwhelmed. So having those breaks, that calmness. So like for another guy I interviewed, it's mountain climbing. Like he can't wait to get out there and climb a mountain, because it's mindfulness for him. Every moment that he's doing that, he's living in the now. And if he isn't, he's probably, excuse me, he's probably going to fall, or he's probably going to have an accident. You've got to be focused exactly on now, not worrying about what happened 5 minutes ago, not worrying about what might happen, just focusing on now. And really, that's the answer for us all, to focus on now. But for you, it may be different than it is from your employee or your next door neighbor or your mother. You know, we're all different. We're all wired differently.
Yeah, I think it's just getting in tune to what it is that helps us like unplug and unwind and be mindful about, you know, being present and all that kind of stuff. For me, it is jogging. I found that out recently. So I tried running in the past and just never, I don't know, I had some mental barriers and physical barriers. But once I got into long distance running and doing it on a consistent schedule, it really helped me. Because as you know, Bruce, you know, like you said before, like us in technology, man, sometimes it's just difficult to stop thinking about all the things, right? Because
Yes.
our jobs are problem solvers, which means that problems find us. Whether
Yes.
we're looking for them or not, they find us and they get into our brains, and then our brains start working on them. Even if we're not sitting in front of the computer, even if we don't, we're not on the clock, if you will. We're still working on these technical problems, on these social problems, on these business problems, whatever they are. We're working on them in our brains, but sometimes it's needed to get away from those problems, to forget about those and just live. And so whether it's running or mountain climbing or I don't know, cross stitching or whatever your thing is to help you, right? Like, forget about all those problems, forget about all the things, all the tasks, all the to-dos, and just like enjoy life.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chad. It's not easy, but well, it can be easy if we sort of allow it to be easy. And that's sometimes the trick, is not trying so hard. And that's what I help my clients with too. Hey, you're just pushing too hard. You're trying too hard. You have to kind of let go. You got to kind of take a deep breath, and breathing is something we talk about a lot, because a lot of us, we don't put much focus on it. And before long, we're not taking a deep breath and relaxing and just, using our breath to be a focal point. That can really help us too.
Yeah, I need to do that more often. I've heard the words and I've done it. And when right before I get on every episode, right before I hit record, I still have this nervous energy inside of me, this imposter syndrome that says you're not good enough. Nobody's going to listen to this. You might as well quit. And I just got to literally take a deep breath, forget about all that stuff. I'm just going to hit record. We're going to do this thing and it'll be great.
Yeah, it will. It will be great. And the more you relax, the better it'll be, probably, Chad.
Awesome.
That's the crazy thing about it. Yeah. And sometimes that takes a lifetime to learn, how to just step back, allow it to happen, just chill a little bit. I know in my life, there have been many times when I just tried too hard. I pushed too hard. I was just so intent on trying to make a certain outcome become reality. And really, it would have been better to just allow it to happen and relax.
Man, that's so good. Dude, we're almost out of time, and I want to respect your Sunday today, because I know you got big plans with your son and with your family and going to church and all that kind of stuff. So before we go, could you share some parting words of wisdom for our audience, the best way that we can connect with you? And then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, my parting words of wisdom is just be an amazing listener with your whole self. So I'm talking about with your children, your wife, your partner, your employees, anybody that's around you. Be an amazing listener, because that'll make the difference. It really will. And yeah, you can connect with me. My podcast is Mindfulness Mode, and that's mindfulnessmode.com, MODE. And mindfulness just has one L, and that sometimes throws us off a little bit. But mindfulnessmode.com is my podcast. And, I put together a little ebook, and I think your listeners could really benefit from it, Chad. It's called 21 Ways to Practice Mindfulness with Your Child every day for 7 minutes. So it's just got like really basic, really easy ideas in there that, sometimes the most basic things are like almost like a revelation,
Right.
Like, oh man, I could just do that. I could just do this. So that's why I put together the ebook, and you can get it for free. All you have to do is go to mindfulnessmode.com/21 ways. So just 21 and the word ways. And you can put in your name and email address and get that. I'll send it right to your email address, and you'll have that. And I hope it benefits you, because I know lots of other listeners have been able to use it and enjoyed it too. So I hope that helps your listeners, Chad.
Awesome. I'm sure it will. I will be checking it out as well. And if you couldn't write that down, just remember this is episode 112. So we're throwing out a lot of numbers here today. But hellotechpros.com/112. We'll have all the key takeaways, the ways to connect with Bruce, links to his podcast, links to his website, and links to this mindfulnessmode.com/21 ways. The 21 ways to practice mindfulness with your child for, what was it, for 21 minutes?
Every day for 7 minutes. So
Every day for 7 minutes. Even faster.
Yeah, even faster. Yeah.
Bruce, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value your honesty and your wisdom and your coaching, and honestly, just I appreciate your calmness because sometimes there's not enough of that in my life. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's great talking with you, Chad. It's just been a real pleasure, a real privilege.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Tech Pros, just take the rest of this day just to unplug. We say it all the time, but it's so hard to do. I know how hard it is to stop thinking about those problems that are going on in your head, whether they're technology problems or whether they're financial problems or something else, or just somebody else's problems that you're hearing about. You know, this world's gone crazy, and just watching the news, there's stuff going on. Just take a moment, like Bruce said, just take a moment and breathe and relax and just put it out of your mind and spend time with the people you love, regardless of if you have kids or if you have friends, whatever. Just spend time with other folks and just relax. You've been listening to Bruce Langford, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/112. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe to this channel, and check back tomorrow. This has been Sunday Being Unplugged, but tomorrow my featured guest and I will get fired up and ready to face the week with Motivation Monday. On Tuesday, we'll be discussing productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and back again on Sunday to get unplugged. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.